is Sage Waters. My spirited story, Ants, Trees, and People, will delight listeners of all ages. A young boy named Paul invites you to think about bugs and animals the way he does, as fascinating creatures with a purpose, a reason for why they were created. Join him as he travels through his dream world. Oh, and he's the size of an ant. Why not? He is dreaming. Do you ever have dreams that take you to places that seem impossible while you are awake? My dreams are full of possibilities. I have a wild imagination that goes into hyperspeed when I dream. Let me tell you about just some of my dreams. Oh, by the way, my name's Paul. I just turned 10, and I'm in 4th grade. I'm a bad speller, but I'm really good with anything that has to do with art. My teacher, Mr. Allen, says my attention span is shorter than Megan's, my best friend. I told Megan that's the reason I like her. I have brown hair, if you want to know that sort of stuff. Mr. Allen says to be an excellent writer, you must offer the reader details. These kind of details bore me, but hey, don't say I never tried. So let me get back to my dreams. Sometimes I find myself riding on the surface of an asteroid, traveling through the Milky Way. Saturn and Venus are my favorite planets to visit in this galaxy. Frequently, I brave the frigid waters of Antarctica for a chance to swim beside emperor penguins and fur seals. A mother polar bear and her cubs befriended me the last time I was there. One night, I dreamt that gigantic wings grew from my shoulder blades. Swallows and eagles soared with me above lakes and between mountain peaks. A few details about my dreams are extra cool. I can become any size, travel anywhere, and speak any language. This includes the languages of the animal and insect kingdom. Why not? My dreams are amazing. Last night, though, I had a dream like none other. I was still me, a human boy, yet I was the size of an ant. Everything towered above me as I walked through a grass jungle. I eagerly searched for a high spot to get a better view. I began by stepping up onto a stick at the stem of a rose, and I grabbed a sprouting leaf at the flower's base. I jumped up onto that leaf and then moved upward using the plant's thorns as steps. When I reached the top, the first thing I noticed was the sweet, fresh rose scent. I wasn't the only one attracted to the fragrance, though. A cabbage-white butterfly was headed straight for me. The insect looked small from a distance. When it flew close to the flower, its huge wings created a flow of air that forced me to hang on for dear life. I don't think that butterfly even saw me, since she was only interested in one thing. She parted the rose petals with her head and began to suck the pollen from the flower with her proboscis. She moved her feet around quite a bit. This forced me to run from one side of the rose to the other, just to keep from being trampled. As quickly as the butterfly landed on the flower, she took to the sky again and was gone. I was thankful her wings didn't knock me out of my rose tower. I gazed at the vast wilderness, and one thing struck me. The grass seemed to stretch out into the distance forever. I made my way down and decided to explore. I moved forward through the brush, and my good luck led me straight to the fruit of a huge blackberry bush. I'd gone to bed with only a handful of nuts in my belly, so I was hungry. Blackberries never tasted so sweet. I nibbled from a berry or two until finally I had my fill. I sat down on the ground, feeling well fed and satisfied. Cupping my hands below a long blade of grass, I allowed water to trickle down into my palms. The morning dew made it easy for me to enjoy a cool drink, and I began to relax. A distant rustling in the brush startled me from my refreshment. It sounded as though something enormous was rushing forward. Suddenly, the grass in front of me was trampled by the long legs of a wolf spider. This thing was unlike any spider I had ever seen, hairy and ominous. Remember, in this dream, I was the size of an ant, and compared to me, that spider was like an elephant. Honestly, sometimes I squish spiders if they get too close to me. I may have wanted to swat that spider with a newspaper if I were my normal size. When I'm awake and much bigger, that's when spiders are no problem. Yet right then, that spider towered above me. The spider's 4 eyes, all focused on my own. Its long fangs razor sharp. My escape options were limited. As I moved backward, this twitchy creature quickly wrapped one of its 8 spindly legs around me. It started to squeeze me, but I managed to squirm out of its grasp. Just as I did, I backed right into its web. I am familiar with wolf spiders. Just last year, when I was in 3rd grade, I wrote a class report about them. The web of a wolf spider is unusual. Unlike a typical garden variety spider, the wolf spider lives in a hole in the ground. It creates a web which surrounds only the outer edges of that hole. This particular spider pounces on insects and other critters which pass in front of its home. I knew I was in serious trouble, but I am a fighter. I wiggled my body from side to side in an attempt to free myself. The more I struggled, the more my legs were tangled, until I could no longer move. Just at that tragic moment, there was a beautiful sight. An army of ants charging toward us. Not just any ants, fire ants. Fire ants are super aggressive. They will attack anything that gets in their way. Their stampede must have frightened my predator. In haste, he scampered into his hole. Carefully, several of the ants worked to untie me. It didn't take them long. More ants gathered, and I took the opportunity to thank them. "My name's Paul," I blurted. My heart was still pounding in my chest. "Wow," I said, a little out of breath. "All of you saved my life. Ants may be small, yet gigantic wolf spiders are no match for your army. I am truly grateful for your heroic teamwork," I said. One ant stepped forward. "Good to meet you, Paul," he said with a kind smile. "My name is Antum. I am a lead worker ant." An idea popped into my head, and I knew that I couldn't ignore this rare opportunity. "Say, Antum, I am normally too big to venture into ant tunnels. I mean, seriously too big," I said, laughing. "Could you guide me on a tour through your underground tunnels? I am sure that maze is huge." "So true, Paul," Antum replied, as he thought for a moment. "Why not? I would enjoy being your guide through our world." "Cool," I said with excitement. Together, the army turned and marched away, like soldiers in formation. Antum gestured for me to follow closely, so I did. I knew that while I was walking with those fire ants, I was safe from predators. We traveled along a heavily worn path that led to their home a large dirt anthill. As Antum and I entered, a damp, earthy draft filled my lungs. We were greeted by the bustle of friendly worker ants, busy making space for new food supplies. Let me tell you, they knew a thing or two about teamwork. A steady flow of grass clippings and other plant material was passed from one to the next. This chain of ants led into a large dirt hole where these greens were stored. This grass, it's endless, Antum declared as he proudly squared his shoulders. Anywhere you turn outside, a vision of green greets your eyes. It's a vast resource that will always be here for us. He thoughtfully continued, the grass and plant mixture is good for several things. One use is feeding the larvae, or baby ants. We also turn the mixture into liquid, which feeds the adult ants. Clever, I responded. I'm beginning to notice something, Antum. It stands out plainly, and I have to tell you, I admire what I see. Ants work together for the greater good of the colony. That's a brilliant and keen observation, Paul. Ants don't brag about that fact. Rather, we just continue forward, step by step and bit by bit. Antum's wide smile shared just how pleased he was with my words. We continually build and rebuild our tunnels after destruction due to rain or even a lawnmower. There's not a section of our tunnels that we aren't maintaining in some fundamental way, he explained. Impressive, I said as I nodded my head. Paul, won't you follow me? There's a portion of tunnel that collapsed last night. When we arrived, Antum pointed to the tunnel, the entrance, and said, my team worked throughout the night. We'll rebuild this tunnel in no time. That's remarkable. If you want something done quickly and efficiently, ask an ant, I said with certainty. Antum's voice turned playful. Paul, don't let our hard work fool you. We like the chance to relax and have fun, like most critters. There was never a picnic I didn't love. I laughed heartily in amusement, and he continued. Believe me, I'm the life of the party. My plans for invasion and attack are some of the sneakiest out there, and I get help from other skilled worker ants. Oh yeah, he sighed happily. When it comes to picnics, I always get enough chicken and pie for an army of ants, times 2. That's awesome, Antum, I said with a chuckle. I've got to tell you, I feel incredibly fortunate that this army of ants crossed my path today. I can't believe it was less than an hour ago that I was almost devoured by a wolf spider. That spider's fangs really were too close for my comfort, I said. He nodded his head and said, it was our pleasure to assist you. Antum's words were heartfelt as he added, please, feel free to look around. No rush, my friend. His antenna bent forward, and he shook my hand with his foot. Thanks, Antum. I'd like that. I thought of their lush green stores of vegetation. I'd like to take a better look at the grass and plant mixture. It's interesting. I must agree, he said. The whole colony thrives on it. And like I shared earlier, the grass is an endless resource. I mean, it stretches out beyond the horizon. It's pretty tasty, too, if you ask me. Just don't ask me to compare it to day-old chicken, he said, laughing. A good picnic wins over my stomach any day. He waved goodbye and returned to the long line of workers. It was then that I considered a novel idea. These ants view grass like some people view trees, as an endless resource. One simple difference boldly stands out to me, though. There's more grass on this planet than any other living plant. It seems that more trees are cut down than get replanted. What if trees could be as abundant and grow as quickly as grass? Startled awake by the high-pitched whistle of the teapot, I could smell the sweet aroma of apple pancakes wafting from the kitchen. I sat straight up in my bed with an interesting idea and desire, not for breakfast, but for something altogether different and unusual. I wish that people really were the size of ants, I said aloud. People the size of ants might be content to use grass to build things with instead of wood. This could allow humans and ants to share the wealth of grass while never coming close to using it all. Satisfied with grass, people might not choose to cut down the mammoth trees in our wilderness. Old-growth forests, any forest, could flourish. Struck by this daydream, I tried to think of all the things I knew about ants. I leapt from my bed to the floor and reached for my baseball. I tossed it up a few times, pacing back and forth in my room. Okay, the tunnels which ants forge underground help to loosen the soil and give it oxygen. This process is called aeration. I read about aeration yesterday. I discovered that humans benefit from soil that's aerated because it makes the dirt healthy and able to produce tasty gardens. Gardens full of colorful veggies and juicy fruit. Like the garden my parents grow, I said, and then I giggled. Listen to me just talking to myself. I'm such a goofball, but I can't help it. I think ants are fascinating, and I actually know more about them than I thought. Yesterday, my best friend Megan and I watched some ants hauling larvae to and fro. I was captivated as they marched, taking great care with their tiny loads. We discovered a whole mess of them behind my parents' barn. I never thought I'd meet anyone who loves ants as much as I do, but Megan does. Maybe that's why we're such awesome friends. She and I noticed how careful those ants were with the tiny eggs. What else do I know? I pondered as I put my slippers on and tapped my head with my pointer finger. Well, like crows and vultures, ants are scavengers. Ants will eat a chicken bone clean if a person throws one out of their car window into the brush. This helps reduce waste and garbage. Ants live disciplined lives, being considerate of the well-being of their whole colony. They are strong, too. I witnessed this when Antum and his team had no problem lifting large pebbles deep within their ant hole. I even read somewhere that some of those tiny giants are able to carry up to 20 times their own body weight. Gosh, if a 200-pound human could lift 20 times their body weight. Let me do the math. Think here. That would be about 4,000 pounds. Whoa! My goodness, that is seriously incredible, I exclaimed. Together, we could be one amazing team if people really were the size of ants. I knew my idea was only a reality in my dreams, but it was sure fun to think about. People the size of ants could be a great plot for a book, I declared as I walked downstairs, ready for some orange juice. I'll title the book Ants, Trees, and People. My mind raced with possibilities. I hope I dream about ants again tonight, 'cause I can't wait to see my little friends. In the meantime, I'm going to sneak some of my pancakes and maple syrup out to that anthill. What was that, Paul? My mom asks as I charge down the stairs into the kitchen ready for an epic day. Oh, I'm just talking to myself, Mom, I said, giggling. May you be inspired. May your dreams be filled with possibilities. Sleep soundly.